Hey everyone, welcome to episode 16 of Handy at the Shandy, a Las Vegas podcast. I am Adam the Fraud, joined by Table James Games, and of course, Boring Jack. And part one here of episode 16 is going to be a trip report from Jack. Now, before you begin, Jack, I know people are concerned. My outdoor cat, that's not really my cat, did survive the cold spell, so she is alive and well and won't leave our back door alone. But, well, I should probably phrase things differently, but she's doing well. Basically, that's what I want to say. But I know that you're doing okay because you came back from Vegas. You got out there on a Thursday, and I kind of want to hear more about what happened. I'm sure you went to Bouchon, you played some video poker, you went to Shandy, and I don't know if I'm leaving anything else out, but I think I just
What
gave
about
the
a long
nice
walk? I think that
long walk.
was
Okay,
something.
yeah, there you go. But please expand on that rundown that I just made up, what was probably fairly accurate.
Yeah, and I think one thing I'm proud of on this trip is I actually did a lot of the things I said I would do on the last episode.
So that's kind of for us.
Yeah. Let's start where we always start, which is
Syringes.
6 days before. No, we had a nice syringe-based flight. Both the buddies that were accompanying me on this trip were on the same flight out of Minneapolis with me, and so we had a whole little row of the plane to ourselves.
Ooh.
Where did you sit in the middle?
I did sit in the middle because I brought my fancy little headphone splitter. And so instead of like showing your crush your mixtape on the field trip bus, we were instead watching my favorite Louis Theroux Vegas documentary and drinking syringe-based old fashions. So
The three
How
of
did
you
they enjoy
were,
it?
they were watching it all three together.
oh, we had a great time. You know, we'd pause and laugh at stuff and point out things. And I don't know. We really need to do like one of those DVD like second disc director's cut watch along things. Anyways, enough with the flight. We got in around like 5:30. First thing we did is checked in at the Palazzo. I had a 2-queen room for me and my buddy Zach. And then Josh was also staying at Palazzo, and he was kind of optimistic that he might be able to convince his wife to come out for the trip. So he didn't take me up on the offer for the 2-queen room. So I ended up with Zach, and he ended up in his own room. But as we were leaving the desk, one of the front desk agents kind of came over and was like, "Oh, that's your buddy down there, right?" And we're like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Is it cool if I give him a room adjoining yours? Like I have to ask you guys rather than just like set it up." And we were like, "Oh yeah, of course." And so this is the first time I've ever had like 2 adjoining rooms at a hotel before. I mean, I've had rooms that have an adjoining door, but no one on the other side has ever wanted to be my friend.
I always knock whenever I get one just to see if they want to be my friend.
And I always ignore the knocks.
I don't do that.
Is there a question coming?
And that's talking adjoining rooms. I don't know. I actually kind of enjoyed it. We didn't spend a lot of time in the hotel room, and then the time we did spend, we weren't necessarily like doing a 2-room hangout. But even when you're just like getting ready for dinner or getting ready in the morning, it was kind of cool to just like have the door open and hang out. You know, if one of my buddies was in the shower, I could go shower with the other one in his room and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about adjoining rooms?
Hate them. Move on.
Love it. We got adjoining rooms for my bachelor party, which is why I was hoping to talk about here. We got adjoining rooms for my bachelor party at Palazzo, and it was great. Every time I travel with people, I ask for an adjoining room. We went to Atlantic City with a couple of our friends this summer, and we got adjoining rooms in Harrah's, and I just love having it open at all times, except for when you're sleeping or maybe when you're changing clothes. But
isn't
just
that
going back
most
and forth
of the
is great.
times though, right? Like,
It is most of the times. Yeah, just having it open and like,
No, I'm saying most of the time you're in the room. You spend like sleeping or changing clothes or things of that nature.
No, I think if I have friends that I'm in a gambling location with, most of the time there will be moments where we'll just be at a cocktail bar or we'll be just hanging out drinking somewhere. And if you have adjoining rooms, then that can just be done in the room, especially like Palazzo, where there's some really great, the dip down seating area. So, I think it's good. I'm not like Adam, who just wants to be all by himself all the time.
I just want to be alone. No, I think it depends on the room. I think, yeah, the Palazzo Venetian rooms are probably better suited for that. But just like if you're at Flamingo with just like a 2-queen room, like there's still nowhere to sit. Like we're going to be uncomfortable in this room or in this room. Pick your poison. Like, let's just go meet downstairs.
So it sounds like I already made a mistake in that we went to one of the Venetian's fine cocktail bars. We really should have just gotten to Vegas and stayed in the adjoining suite and had a few drinks.
Taking a couple sad girl baths, like a Cialis commercial, holding hands or something.
Exactly.
That way.
Well, it would have saved you some money, probably.
Mm-hmm.
This bar is in the back of the new Venetian food court, the Via Via Food Hall. And I think it was originally supposed to be a speakeasy. It has a giant neon sign on the wall with a big arrow that says, like, there's a bar. There is a bar over here. Like, it couldn't be more clear.
At this point, it's like if they don't put a menu out front, they're considering it a speakeasy.
Right. Well, I think it's not very well attended, is what my understanding was. We went in there.
Downtown
and there was
Grand, it's a speakeasy.
Exactly. There were two people sitting at the bar. And so this is like now, let's say 6:15 p.m. on a Thursday night. There was like 2 people sitting at the bar, and then there was the 3 of us walking in. I don't know. The cocktails there were really cool. We were joined shortly thereafter by my friend Ryan, who was in town for a trial. Kind of randomly, the like arbitrator for the case he was working on is from Las Vegas and was like, do you want to just do the arbitration here? And everyone was like, yes. It sounds like a great place to do it. So we met up with him at Close Company, and the couple drinks I had there, I had like a celery aquavit sort of like spritz one that was fantastic. And then another one on the menu was called the Bitter Melon Negroni that had like some papaya and stuff
right
in
up
it.
your alley, yeah.
The drinks were super inventive, and I was really enthused.
How was the price point?
Well, I think everything was like $17. It was
okay.
Well, it was pretty reasonable for Vegas. Yeah, maybe it was 17 to 19, let's say.
Maybe I'll have to check that out this weekend and get some photos for the Handy at the Shandy Instagram.
For the pod.
That was the first instance of my buddy Zach losing at credit card roulette. I had 2 drinks. The rest of the folks each had 1. So I had 2 of the 5 shares on our little randomizer and did not have to pay. So I'm slightly less in tune with how much the stuff cost. But we then met up with my buddy Brian, who was in town for just that Wednesday and Thursday night. The 5 of us had a reservation at Gymkhana at Aria. And this is the long-awaited, and by long-awaited, I mean you podcast listeners have been waiting for us to talk about a review of this for a long time. And it's the new Indian restaurant there, kind of just off Aria's lobby. I'll start with like the decor. It's like there's a lot of kind of like dark green and wood and kind of like bookcases and stuff. I don't know. It was rather dark in there. I thought the decor was really cool. There was very loud, bassy music. Like I at first thought that it was like on the other side of the wall from us was some sort of like big club or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were just seated somewhere near the subwoofer because it was just like, it was so much bass. You couldn't hear like what the song was. Like the other people that weren't as close to this corner as us were like, oh yeah, this song, or like, when did this come out? Or like, don't you recognize this? And just like, it was so much bass, you couldn't hear what the music was. And so I thought that was like really weird. I think the other thing that was like a little weird about the ambiance is it felt like very colonial India themed in a lot of ways. Like, wouldn't it be great if you were like part of the British Raj and your servants were waiting on you or stuff like that? I don't know. It had like that sort of vibe to me at times. One question that came up pretty early on was someone recalled that they had a tasting menu. And so we asked to see that. And we were kind of debating back and forth, tasting menu versus just kind of ordering a bunch of stuff a la carte for us to split. And I was at first a big proponent of the tasting menu because generally it's just like easier to not decide on things, right? Mm-hmm. And if you get more things this way, then, and just like the bigger a group is, we had 5, it's like not always trivial to get people to agree on stuff. And so I was just like, oh, if there's a tasting menu, we should do it. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, the tasting menu, when we got the actual like placard that shows you what's on it, it didn't seem super alluring and it seemed kind of expensive. And so Ryan, who spearheaded the let's not do the tasting menu effort, he managed to talk me off the ledge, and we managed to order just a bunch of stuff a la carte. And so there's a bunch of different sections for appetizers, vegetables, meat entrees, biryanis and rice, and then like tandoor kebabs and stuff. Basically anything that you could get on an Indian restaurant normally, they also have on this menu, I felt like. So nothing too out of the ordinary for being like high-end Indian food. They just did it really well.
Except for the whole, imperialism
ambiance
aspect of it.
Yeah, there was more imperialism than my local Indian restaurant, but
I'm not a fan of most tasting menus, to be honest, because I'm not an extremely picky eater, but I'm picky enough that there's always a couple things that I have to be the asshole that's like, oh, can we sub out this? And, and then Kim has to eat gluten-free because of celiac. So we usually have to kind of be like, well, what about this one has gluten? So can we change that? Very, very rarely do we ever get a tasting menu.
And I'm the exact opposite, where we get it almost every time. If we're at a new restaurant that's nice enough to have one, I just like not having to make any decisions. And like, that's just easy peasy. And usually, like Katie will get like a wine flight or something with it and, move on.
Yeah, James is the people that make it so I want the tasting menu, because otherwise you're like, oh, how are we going to order around with this group? But
well, yeah, we saw that at Bizarre Meat where it took 8 hours to figure out the bill. And if everyone ordered the tasting menu, it would have been in and out.
That is true. Well, that's why Kim and I were just like, we'll take this stuff and we're gonna Venmo you that. You can blame Kim, I guess, because she's not on this call, so it's easier to blame her.
Yeah, but she listens.
She does, one of the few.
One thing I'll say is the cocktails were way too expensive. They were all like $29 each.
Ooh.
And so we did, some of them were pretty cool sounding and they were all pretty tasty. We kind of, passed them around. So we did get sucked in and each person did get a cocktail. But I'll say, just right off the bat, we spent, $30 a person on cocktails, and all in after tax and tip, it only ended up being $130 a person.
Oh,
so we got out of there exceedingly reasonably. Mm-hmm. Because then without alcohol, it would have been under $100 a person. So, and we did not skimp on ordering. We got like I guess they had like a lobster something that was market price that was really expensive. But other than that, I think we got some of the more expensive stuff on the menu, like the lamb chops. We kind of just loaded up on entrees and sides and stuff. And I think we just barely didn't finish it all. So we did a good job ordering enough food for everyone and got out there pretty cheaply. That alone makes me really excited to go back. But
who ended up getting the MGM points for that?
Oh, that was a point of contention. I'm trying to recall exactly what happened. I feel like Ryan took it and we all Venmoed him. So
he did our Bizarre Meat tab too, didn't he? Is that the same one?
Yeah.
Same Ryan?
Yeah.
He's just a point stealer at this. I'm going to file arbitration against Ryan.
Well, I said I was going to just take it and put it on my card and then people can Venmo me. And then he's like, well, who's going to get the points? And I'm like, well, I don't really care about the MGM points on this dinner.
BS, Ryan. This is...
And then
Ryan, he's a nice guy.
Well, then I should put my card down. I was like, look, if you want to pay and put your card down, we can all Venmo you. But like, I'm not going to put down your card with my credit card and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So
I guess I'll
just
do
wants
it.
a few points.
Make it easy on everybody. But this is it.
Ryan is also a listener, so shout out to him. We can blame him and Kim for most of our issues.
We do love Ryan.
Here.
Yeah.
But this is my small contention with him. But a lot of people have been excited about this restaurant. Overall, it sounds like good experience. Definitely want to go back.
Yeah, just a few food things to review. The lamb chops were kind of mentioned to us as being a pretty big deal. Like they had hinted that previous customers had said that these lamb chops had like changed their life. And I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, how good could they be? They were just fantastic. It was like some of the best lamb I've ever had. I feel like very rarely are you worried about like what the seasoning or flavor is going to be. Like a lot of good restaurants can season their lamb in a way that's alluring. The thing for me is that I think it's really hard to balance them being like a good char on the outside, being not overdone on the inside, but also staying tender. Like all three of those things. Like, can you get a good char, keep it medium rare, and have it be not chewy or tough? And they did all of those fantastically, in addition to having some of the best flavor on a lamb chop I've ever had. So that's one of those things. We kind of wish it came in a portion of 3 that the 5 of us kind of split. We almost wish we had just gotten 2 orders of that. And that was $75 for those 3 kind of medallion sized lamb chops. So it was pretty expensive. But again, there was a lot of other stuff on the menu that like wasn't super expensive, was really tasty. Like the chana masala that they had was like some of the best chana masala I've ever had. And that was like $15. So the only other thing that was kind of weird is that we got like a biryani that was supposed to be served tableside, but the only thing that they did tableside was carve this weird puffed up bread dome off the top of the pot. And it was like, I had never seen this before. I don't know if that's like a traditional preparation of biryani, because it's just like a big stone bowl filled with rice and other goodies. But like there was like a puffed up like bread thing over the top that they like carved tableside. I don't know, super weird. But we had a great mix of carbs and curries and vegetables and skewered meats. It was just fantastic. It's like I don't want to say I would go back. I will be going back. I will try to go back at my earliest convenience. It was incredible.
Nice. Well, that's a good thing, because during our trip in March, that's one of the places I'd like to go. So you'll be back there.
I was dead tired at this point, after traveling, eating a big meal. And for whatever reason, it kind of just took us forever to get out there. Between like when we finished and when we left, I feel like was like 75 minutes. But there was like one dessert got thrown in, and then we all just kind of like sat around listening to some heavy bass for a while. I don't know. We eventually walked back to Palazzo, and I just went straight to bed. And so I made it to Friday morning without having gambled at all, which was kind of wild.
I don't know how you do it. I mean, I do know how you do it, but I can't do it. We're going to be landing tomorrow night at about 10 p.m. We're not going to get to Palazzo Venetian till 11, and we're definitely going straight down to the High Limit Bar.
Well, congrats on breaking even your first day.
Yeah, and I ended up on the credit card roulette. That kind of counts as gambling in some ways, but
that is true.
So first thing in the morning, I went down to Bar Luca and started playing some Ultimate X. And I've said before, should I be doing that early in the morning? I thought, well, I didn't gamble at all yesterday. This is really like last night's session. This isn't this morning's session.
It's a good way to think about it. I like it.
And so I was talking to the graveyard shift bartender, Philip, there, who I've talked about before. And he was kind of telling some crazy stories. Like he said when he got there on his shift, there was like a bunch of security officers there kicking some people out of the bar. And he said, they didn't really like tell him anything about it. He didn't like hear from them what it was about. So he just kind of figured, okay, just some guys getting kicked out as usual. But then like one of them ended up coming back to the bar. And so he had to call over to security, be like, yeah, one of those guys you were talking to earlier is here. Like, can I serve him? Like, is he allowed? What's going on with that? And apparently like they came back and got into like another altercation, and the guy ended up getting 86 from the property. And so it's like 3 a.m, because Philip clocked in at like 2. Now it's like 3 a.m, and they're escorting him up to his room, packing his shit up, and then throwing him out on the street, basically. And then like he told this other story of like he saw these like 2 hookers coming from like a mile away, because they were just yelling at each other as they were walking his direction. He's like, please don't come up to my bar. Please don't come up to my bar. Because they're just like screaming, arguing at each other while like walking together towards the parking garage. And so Philip's idea, and I loved this because he's got an eye for the sorts of content that we wish we would come up with. He wants to start a show called Where Are They Now? Except it's just for about people that he saw like a couple hours ago. So it's like, yeah, that guy that got 86 and thrown out at 3 a.m. Well, now it's 6 a.m. Where are they now? Or the 2 women that passed by earlier yelling. He's like, are they sitting at a Denny's somewhere just still yelling? Like, where are they now? So I thought Where Are They Now would be a segment that like we would come up with. And that's going to be his weekly show.
We wish he had a private investigator, to follow him around. Just give us updates.
And the answer for us would be a video poker bar. That would be Where Are They Now?
Yeah, where we are now is less exciting. But I finally get word that my friends have woken up, and I drag them on a nice walk down to Mandalay Bay and back, and it's super pleasant out in the morning. I think it was probably only like 55 degrees when we left the hotel, but like the highs in the afternoons were getting up to like 70, 75. So it was beautiful weather compared to what we had left behind in Minnesota.
Oh, I bet.
After that walk up and down the strip, we then did Uber to Chinatown, a place called Hong Kong Garden on Spring Mountain Road. And we got like an all-you-can-eat dim sum brunch. The only issue there was we got a lot of stuff that we didn't order. Like And you could kind of tell there were like two waitresses dropping stuff off carts, and they were like kind of passing receipts back and forth and arguing with each other in Chinese. And so we don't know what they were saying.
These weren't the hookers, were they?
No.
Well, we don't know. Where are they now?
Yeah.
But it was pretty clear some of the stuff we just straight up didn't order. And we ate like almost everything that we got, but we felt bad. Like, first of all, we were just stuffed because there was more food than we had like physically put in for. And it was also stuff that we were like slightly less excited to eat, but everything was still really good.
So would you go back to Hong Kong Garden knowing that they probably don't care what you're actually ordering? They're just going to give you whatever they want or feel like serving at the time?
So I think the only reason I wouldn't be excited to go back there is that the next thing we did after leaving was take a walk about a mile east, kind of back towards the Strip, but still along Spring Mountain Road, and ended up at Golden Tiki. And we realized just how extensive kind of that Chinatown section of Las Vegas truly is.
Yeah, that
it's
feels
just
long.
huge,
Yeah.
and it goes forever. And so there's just so many different businesses and restaurants of all different types of, we kind of call it a Chinatown area, but Las Vegas is like a new enough city, right? Like everyone that moved there in the last like 30 some years. And so they didn't have like the kind of traditional waves of country specific immigration that a lot of other cities have had. And so it's not like, oh, the Chinatown is here and here's Japantown or Korea. It's all just kind of in the same place. And so whether it's Korean, Japanese, Vietnamese, Chinese stuff, there's just so much different stuff to try there that I wouldn't go back only because I'd want to just try somewhere else.
Yeah, Vegas is still getting over Imperial India, so we're in the very early stages.
Yeah,
right now.
very early.
I find it funny that, and I haven't really looked up why this is, but everyone knows that in Vegas, every billboard you see is for a personal injury lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
In Chinatown, every billboard is for an Asian personal injury lawyer. And then it'll have half of it will be in English and the other half will be in, like Korean or Chinese or something like
Love
that.
it.
So I thought that was kind of funny. It's like, it's the same billboards. It's just slightly different guys than you normally see on other parts of the Strip. We made it down to the Golden Tiki. Only did one drink there. Don't really need to review it too much, other than that we each did put like a $20 bill in the bar top video poker and played some, nickel video poker.
Nice.
And I got Josh in on the Joker poker, which he had never heard of before. And Quick Quads Josh, is always a sucker for a weird video poker variant. And the pay tables there were just abysmal.
Of course.
Like, I don't even want to get into it with respect to how bad the Joker poker was, but I don't know. They're not a casino. It's fine. They're just giving people something to do while they drink, and we took advantage of that.
But there's no comps there, right?
They were like, sign up for our rewards program. Make sure to get a card. It said on like the machine. It had like a little place for a card and a thing exhorting you to do it.
I feel like they just forgot to reset the machine from wherever they got it from.
So after one quick round, we leave the Golden Tiki and head over to one of my favorite spots. We take an Uber to Resorts World. And the goal is, maybe play at the center bar a bit. But obviously, I first stop in at the high limit bar to see my favorite bartenders in Vegas, Chris and Maddie, and get some drinks from them. Josh and Zach are there. And I tell Josh, just come play a bit of dollar single line video poker. I've never steered you wrong before. Every time I get him to play dollars there, he always hits some sort of like $200 quad to break even. And so I've said, just put another $200 in, play some dollars for a bit, and get some fancy drinks. And so I get him to do that, and I get him back on the Joker poker, which is thankfully, Resorts World's pay tables aren't great, but it's far better than kind of the, 93% games that they're offering at the Golden Tiki. One thing we realized that's kind of odd about the Joker poker is that the Royal Flush pays 4,700 credits. And my guess is that's a holdover from like quarters, where 4,800 would have been a $1,200 hand pay, but 47 would be less. In any case, he's playing dollars and he gets dealt 4 to a Royal. And then we're like, oh my God, you're one away from Royal Flush. If you get it with the Joker, it's only $500. But if you get it natural, that's a full $4,700 hit. And that's the first time we really noticed, like, it's $4,700. And of course he misses it. And we're just like, oh man, how crazy would that have been?
What a loser.
And then like not 10 minutes later, he gets dealt 3 to the Royal, turns it into the natural Royal for $4,700, which is just like, normally I have to, try to convince him to come play some of these higher limit games. And so the fact that he nails a giant hand pay on it is just awesome. And it was also his 4th Royal in 4 Vegas trips.
Jesus.
And I'm sitting there being like, I haven't hit a Royal since the Gerald Ford administration, but I was quite happy for him. It really in some sense turned my mood around, because I had just been kind of losing, and now I'm kind of amped up. So that was a really cool thing to see.
I love how you use the first name of a president for administration, because like, if you just said the Ford administration, we wouldn't know who you were talking about.
You're welcome.
Sorry, I was trying to make a comment. Jack's not liking any of our comments today.
He's powering through.
Oh Lord, what are we doing here? So we end up playing at Resorts World High Limit for a fair bit longer than we had planned to, because Josh just got a giant windfall, and we get my buddy Zach playing the kind of like 3-line quarters, just don't play the gimmicky game and you get to play for $375 sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And so we play at Resorts World High Limit for a bit. Eventually head back to Palazzo, and Bar Luca is all filled up. So we play at Palazzo High Limit for a bit. Do the same, kind of the same sort of stuff we were doing, but just spread further apart than we were at Resorts World. I don't think too much happened on that session. So
that's what I'm looking least forward to this weekend, playing at Venetian Palazzo. Is I know we're going to be in the Palazzo High Limit room for a good amount of that time. And it's just, they're so spread out. And so with like Kim and I'm not going to be able to hold her hand while I'm playing, which is what I normally do.
We need to get like periscopes where we can see what's going on.
And then we could periscope that on Twitter.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot about Periscope. It's a blast from the past.
Never forget.
Eventually, we get enough drinks in us that our reservation comes up for 6:30 at Sugarcane. And like I said last time, this is just one of those ones I made kind of offhand, and I don't really have too much to review about it other than that. One thing I like about Vegas that's exemplified by the Venetian is the ability to get quality food without having to like worry too much. Like, yeah, if you really want to go to like the best restaurants in Vegas, you can put in a lot of work to find the right ones that have the right reviews and find people who've been to them and get people that you trust to get good recommendations. Or you can just like pick a random restaurant at the Venetian that you've walked by a few times and been like, well, that looks kind of good. And the food was all pretty good. We got some, like I said, we got some lighter stuff, some sushi rolls, some salads, some noodles. It was pretty good.
Is it an Asian restaurant, or is it just kind of whatever?
No, I think it's kind of a raw, it's like a raw bar is kind of what they say on their signage. So they have a lot of raw seafood just for that reason. And so as a result, they have some kind of specialty sushi rolls that we partook in.
The name gives it away. Sugarcane.
Was that like Sugar Factory? And I'm like, I have no idea what you all are serving.
Yeah, I don't really know why it's called that, but nevertheless, we got out of there for about like $70 a person. We didn't get any alcohol. We had been drinking all day. So then back to Bar Luca. And one thing I learned about Bar Luca, first in the morning, I had learned that on the single line side of the bar, the pay tables are even better than I previously thought.
Oh,
I hadn't really checked dollars since they had put in the new machines there. I recall in the past that everything was kind of the same quarters through dollars, but this time the dollar pay tables were even better than the ones I was talking about. So I talked this place up as a place that you could play like 9-5 double at single line for quarters. At dollars, it's all a tick better. You can play full pay 9-6 double at dollars, and you can play 9-5 jacks and 9-5 bonus deluxe and stuff like that. And you can play the double up feature on those fun games. And so the single line side of the bar, you can play basically up to a 99% game.
Oh, nice. Wow.
So I was very enthused about that, especially if you're a double player, because I think that was the best game on the machine at dollars.
What's the status of those machines just quality wise? Because I remember when you and I went, they're just like dirty, not in great condition. Has that improved at all? That was years ago.
Oh, they have all the new ones on there within the last like year and a half. They upgraded to all the curved top ones.
Okay. All right. Nice.
And what's the status of the spreadsheet where people can go and see what all these bar top pay tables are.
That's my second question.
I'm really thinking about making one.
Okay.
Great. You have concepts of a spreadsheet.
Progress.
Yeah. And then the other thing I learned is that even on the multi-line side of the bar, like let's say you're my buddy Josh, and you're playing quarters, double, triple line for $3.75 a spin. They also have double up on those games.
Oh.
You can get like dealt a full house and then be like, do you want to just double up the whole amount in one lump sum? And I don't know. It was kind of crazy to me that I'd not seen it on anything other than single line. And so I assumed that it wouldn't exist on anything other than single line. And so that was pretty neat. The next neat thing to happen was that Josh, he then gets dealt 4 aces and dealt the kicker at the double for a $1,500, not even a hand pay.
And they didn't. So that's all. So no hand pay. They didn't.
Yep. No, it just went into the machine. He took a picture of it, and then it kind of just moved on. It was
wonderful.
No pomp and circumstance, other than us chiding him and being like, "What is going on with you? How are you up like $6,000 in the last couple hours?"
That's what I was gonna say. Like, this is not one of our high rolling friends who are going out there and like, I'm up 6, but I'm gonna be down real. Like, he's playing like 375, right? Like kind of his main push for video poker, and up hitting 1,500 and 4,700. That's awesome.
And we did later. We did kind of convince him to play some more dollar single line and stuff like that. So he did give back a little bit more than maybe he should have. But on the other hand, when you're up that much, you get to try a bunch. You get to try some more fun games. And try to really knock one out of the park. But I'm at the point that I was at, kind of the first night of my last trip to Palazzo, where I've lost about $900 at Resorts World, and at Palazzo, with the morning session and this one combined, I'm down about 2,000 there. So I have to go get a third $1,000 marker at Palazzo. Again, I have it in the machine, but before it becomes relevant, I got a $2,000 hand pay on a Royal on a 2x multiplier. So we've broken the Royal drought.
Woohoo.
And I fulfilled one of my 2026 golds.
Suck it, Gerald Ford.
A Royal on a multiplier.
Nice. But it was still holding 3. Didn't you say
it was
you
holding
wanted
3? Yep. So the goal is still live to get one holding a number of cards other than 3 and 4.
Nice.
But that was really cool to get that Royal there. It goes to show, just keep going deeper on your credit line and things will turn around.
Yep.
Did you did you scream, or you're like, yeah? Like, what? How was the reaction when you saw it?
It was the second one. I went, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, like a
and I kind of like pumped my fist,
manly,
and like half stood up, but like your bar stool's tucked under the counter, so you kind of can't stand up. So you're just kind of like awkwardly half standing on the rail.
Now you sent me a text earlier than that where you were you dealt 4 to the Royal on a 12x, and you got the Rampart Royal is what they call it on Twitter.
I got another Queen of Hearts where I needed a Queen of Diamonds on a 4 to a Royal. That was really it for that night. Other than my buddy Zach, who has now just watched me and Josh hit random big windfalls, and he's just kind of been losing at these random games we've been making him play. Other than that, everything's going well gambling wise. The next morning, I realized I hadn't played at Palazzo really as much as I thought I was going to on that trip, and I was still trying to get that Ruby status before the tier year turns over at the end of February.
And how many points do you need for that?
So to get Ruby, you need 20,000, and I had gone into the trip with about 17 some thousand. And then that morning I was at like 19.1, and I was like, okay, we just need like 900 more points. And so that was one thing that was kind of fun to do, is to have like an achievable goal that you're playing for, and watching the tier credits kind of tick up towards it. Because it's like, okay, I know I'm going to hit this morning. My friends are sleeping in. I got up like at 5 that morning for whatever reason, because I did a good job going to bed the previous night, I guess. But I got up at like 5, and I was like, they're not going to be up till like 7:30, so I'm probably going to hit this in the next couple hours. And one thing that MGM does occasionally is, with your offer, there'll be some sort of like little aspirational goal they give you, like earn 12,800 tier credits on this trip, and you get an extra $100 in free play up on top of your existing free play offer. And I think those like little fun gamifying things, they could do more of that. Casinos could.
Yeah, I've noticed because like MGM will do it after you book a trip, so they know you're going to be in town. They've captured you, so they're going to give you some sort of goal based on your play. And I'm with you. I like that a lot, maybe
Yeah.
more than I should. Right? 'Cause I know it's
Yeah.
not fruitful, but it does keep me in the building.
And it's kind of the equivalent of like what a lot of locals casinos will do every day. They'll say, oh, Wednesday, if you come in, you get a set of steak knives or whatever. You know, like there's no real way to do that sort of random little giveaway for a tourist market in Vegas. So I think stuff like what MGM does is like kind of a good, replacement for that. But
Yeah.
I'd be curious what more these marketing departments could do. Find something that is actually something someone might want to chase and then dangle it in front of them like a carrot.
Are you thinking like drinks or something like that, or like a buffet coupon?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the tough part, is that it's hard to find something that is going to be appealing to most people.
Right. Because I'm not going to bring a Cuisinart home. Like, just keep it in the back.
But on the other hand, like free play is like not a super, they know it's something that's a common denominator. Everyone's going to want that, but it's not cool. You're not going to go home and brag to your friends that you gambled extra to get extra free play. Whereas if they were giving away like an old piece of a slot machine, like an old piece of slot glass or something like that, I don't know.
No, I was thinking like a bottle of wine for your room or something.
Well, right. Yeah, I don't know. There's all sorts of stuff you could do. And then the question is, to whom is it going to appeal? Right.
But I think that's I think it's a good idea.
How many points did you end up getting at Venetian Palazzo for the time that you spent?
I mean, I basically, as soon as I got to the like 20,000 that I needed for Ruby, I switched back over to playing just some single line because it was getting late enough in the morning that my friends were going to be coming down.
So you got like 3,000 or so?
Yeah. I think their video poker, it's very clear that you just get like 1 point for every $10 of coin in. So if you want to get 800 points on the morning, you have to do 8,000 a coin in or what have you. But they're also reasonably generous with like hotel spend and restaurant spend counting towards points, I think.
Okay, because I need 8,658 to get to Ruby.
So yeah, that'd be about 80,000 of coin in. Well, so that's the thing, is it does actually, there are some decent stated benefits with it. It does come with one free night and one like entourage free night that they call it. So kind of like what Identity used to do with the Cosmo. They've got like free nights and free nights for friends as a stated benefit, which is kind of cool, especially if you want to apply it to like a time you can't get it comped. The other thing that's good is you get guaranteed 2 p.m. checkout.
Yep.
I don't know if it's like guaranteed, but I do think that they generally honor it. And so, especially when you do stuff like what I tend to do, where you switch hotels halfway through the trip, being able to know that one of them is a 2 p.m. checkout can really make your logistics easier. And so that's nice. And then other than that, I don't know, you get like the VIP line at check-in, but I've never had problems checking in there. So I don't know how far that goes.
It does look like on their website, Ruby, you do get the $150. You choose one of three. So you can get 150 spa or 150 airfare reimbursement or a complimentary round of golf for one person.
And you get the 2 free gondola rides. So I mean, it's just
nice. That's right.
I think their program has better stated benefits at that tier than, for instance, like MGM Gold does.
Oh, with the resort fees.
But resort fees is the big one, right?
Yeah.
Like you still don't get resort fees comped at Ruby. Now, both times I've gone there and been like booked with my host, they've waived my resort fees at the end. But I'd still like to know going in that I don't have to pay $40 a night.
Generally, it's kind of a mixed bag, but you will know going in whether your offer comes with comp resort. Comes with comp resort fees or not. Like most offers that I've booked through them, it is clear up front that there were no resort fees, and that was before I made Ruby. Yeah.
Oh wow, the one I'm going on this weekend, I'm on my suite thing and going through a host, and they're like, "Oh yeah, there's still going to be resort fees on this, but you'll have to check with me at the end to see if I can get rid of it."
And that could be based on availability. Like you're going for Super Bowl weekend, and maybe that's like one of the last things they take off or something like that. I don't really know, but I know I had success in the past just getting actual $0.0 rooms from them. One more thing that I said I would do, and indeed ended up doing, is played a bit of quick quads in the Palazzo High Limit room. And so I've got quick quads Josh there, and he is flush with cash. And so I did convince him to go halvesies with me on some $5 denom quick quads, which was the lowest they had.
Oh wow, that's the lowest? Nice.
So the lowest you could play on quick quads there was $30 a spin. And we went
that's not true. That's not true. You could play, right? Could you
the
play
only way to get quick quads is to bet the 6th credit. So you do.
Oh.
I do like that
makes
James
sense.
is always trying to fact check me, though.
I'm trying to fact check you.
Confident too.
I was very confident, but that makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, the lowest quick quads you could play in that high limit room was $30 a press. And we did a real short buy where we bought in for like $240 a piece. So we've got $480 in the machine, and we're just going to split any winnings we can get. But one singular quad is 225 credits, which is over $1,000, right? That's 1125. So we're just, can we get a quad or a quick quad before we run out of this $480? And we were down below like 100 when we held a pair of 9s. And then, bam, what comes off the deck next but a 7, and then a deuce, and then a 9 for quad 9s. And so it makes the little quick quad logo appear on the 7 and the 2 to show you, hey, these are the magical cards that are adding up. And we're like, all right, this is awesome. So now instead of having, $90 in the machine, we have like 12, 15. Mm-hmm. And so we're like, well, we'll just play down the last like $215 and see if we can't get another quick quad. And then this one was even more fun because we held the 8-8-6 deuce, hoping for one of the 2 remaining 8s in the deck, and nailed it for another 1,000.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
nice.
And so we each profited like over $700 on this little adventure, which was, in some sense destined to be a loser given how little we had bought in with. But that was a fun little quick quads excursion. It basically got me back to even on the trip with the stuff I had done that morning, plus the big royal from the night before kind of erased those Resorts World losses I had. So all in all, we're going into this hotel change, moving over to Cosmos Saturday morning with a pretty flush bankroll.
Nice.
Neither of us were able to check into our rooms at 9:30 in the morning, which is not all that surprising. So we bell-desked our bags and hopped back in an Uber to the downtown arts district for Echo Taste and Sound. And that's that Chef Natalie Young restaurant. She formerly did Eat at 7th and Carson, now is doing this in the arts district. It's, like I said last time, kind of a, record player, jazz music, cocktails, and high fidelity sound bar. But they do brunch 2 days a week on the weekends. And so we got there right when they opened at 10 for some brunch. And we were actually seated at our table by Chef Natalie herself. So that was really cool. Yeah.
That's super cool.
And the food there was just incredible. It was so good. Like we started with like some beignets, but rather than be kind of like, I don't know what to describe a beignet normally being, but like these were like a flakier style where it was almost like a croissant pastry that was like layered, but was done in like in a beignet style. I don't know. Those were amazing. I got like a breakfast sandwich. Other people got like pancakes. It was like the same food that you're used to at Eat, but perhaps even better. And the whole room and ambiance and stuff it was in was really cool. Nice. It was like one of the coolest places I've eaten in Vegas.
Did you say they do brunch on Saturday and Sunday?
Yep. And I think that's about it. Otherwise, they're open at 5. So
cool.
We walked around the arts district ever so briefly just to kind of walk past stuff, see what's open, window shop in some, vintage clothing stores. But other than that, hopped in a car back to Cosmo, and I got a quick nap in before we hit the Chandelier Bar at 1. And I'm getting better at those little 30 to 45 minute naps in Vegas. But at 1 p.m., it was indeed time for some shandy. I don't really have too much to say that we haven't said on other trips. It's a fun place to play. We were getting great drinks. We were sitting, the 3-4 of us across. I think Ryan came back and joined us for a bit there. And so we just had a blast getting some drinks and getting ready for the early dinner that we had. We had a 4:45 at Best Friend at Park MGM so that we could get out of there before the Golden Knights game. And a lot of other people at that restaurant had the same idea because there was a lot of Knights gear at Park MGM around that time. It was all that or people there for the Zayn concert. So they now have 2 tasting menus at Roy Choi. They have like a $75 one and then a $95 one, which just has some more stuff on it. And we were like, I don't know, what's $20? So we went for the slightly more expansive tasting menu. It's just so much food. I don't know if they expect you to eat it all, but we certainly didn't. We kind of ended up throwing a fair bit of it away, which wasn't too proud of, but it's just, that was a lot to eat.
It's a good value there, though. I mean, yeah, they do give you a ton of food.
Yeah, and you get to try all sorts of different stuff. The tasting menu is, that's kind of why we went for the one that was $20 more, is not because you got more food, but because you got to try more different things, right?
And who got the MGM points for this one?
Ryan.
I think we charged 4 rooms for it. So
okay.
The waiter wasn't like super enthused about that, but it's like, that's part that comes with the territory of being in a casino. Like people are going to want to get the F&B offers they have on their rooms, and they're going to want to charge stuff to their room. And so
that's
you just kind of have to deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't feel too bad about making him do that, but it's not our game, it's their game, right?
He sadly walked to the counter with his Adidas,
mine actually, my receipt came back with a different person's name on it, and I didn't get to see the room number, but because it was like it was redacted, but it certainly wasn't my room because it wasn't my name, and so I did have to get the attention and get that rectified. But I was like, man, I wish I hadn't noticed this. Like if I didn't notice that it wasn't my name on it, would have been free dinner. But I was too much of an upstanding citizen to try to fraudulently stick someone else with the bill.
I think that you're a good person.
Thank you.
Because that did happen to me at MGM National Harbor, where I was like, why do I have a $900 charge on my room? I was gone. And it's because something like that happened.
Yeah. I really just wish everywhere would just ask to see your ID, especially because they're like, they ask what your last name is, and then they cut you off after like 2 letters. They're like, yeah, whatever. This person's last name also started with M, and it's like, that must have been enough for the guy.
Yeah.
The first name being Lisa didn't really bother him at all.
Well, it's because of the hair.
Next up was that Vegas Golden Knights game. We had great seats. We were in like the first row of the upper bowl, so no one was in front of us, which was really cool. And everything that you've heard about it is true, that it's just a huge party atmosphere. Like all the music they're playing is like club EDM music. Everything you would expect from Vegas, you're getting as part of that pregame, or even just the little intermissions and stuff, or TV timeouts. Like everything is just super high energy. I was kind of wondering, like, for the opposing teams, like, do they hate going to Vegas because this is obnoxious, or they're like, oh, this is kind of fun, why don't we do this?
That's an interesting question. And it made me realize, like, like Blackhawks games, like it's all classic rock. That's what the songs are. Whereas, the Knights game, it's like, it's pure Vegas club type stuff. It's really fun.
Now, were you next to a subwoofer there? So it was, you just had the bass.
No, I could, their sound system is, I mean, it's T-Mobile. So they do concerts and stuff there. They're going to have good sound. They built it so that it could be a concert venue. You could hear everything pretty clearly, which was pretty fun.
Okay.
But thank you for the callback.
It was a genuine question, damn it. It was a genuine question.
I ended up leaving at the second intermission, which was kind of a bummer because Vegas had just tied it up 2-2 going into that second intermission. But it was Ryan's last night in town, and after hanging out with us on Thursday, he managed to book one last extra night for that Saturday night. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to just leave the hockey game and go to bed and leave him hanging. So I went back to Cosmo to play some craps with him. We really had a roller coaster of a session there. I think we reached in for like 1,000. We got as low as like having $150 in the rack, skyrocketed back up to like 1,000, lost it back down to just, still having like $200 in the rack. And then by the time it was like 11 p.m. and we cashed out, I was just above 1,000 again. So I made like an $18 profit on that session, but we had a good time.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The people got off the hockey game and came and joined us. And I don't know, it was just a pretty good high energy table. When we walk up to it, it had just opened at around 9 and it was completely empty. All the other tables were like super packed, but this one had like just opened. And I think the fact that it was empty had kind of scared people off, because as soon as we walked up, we were like, oh, I hope this doesn't become one of those sessions where it's just the two of us playing. And it goes super quick because we're just, just the dice are moving so fast. By the time that we were like, one of us was getting our chips moved to us, there were like 4 other people already buying in. So we were the trendsetters that started a fun crap session there.
Well done, you two.
But I woke up the next morning to some crazy text from Ryan. The first one said, after my roll, because I left like right before he was about to roll again, but it had just gotten too late for me. And so even though I would have been next up, it was like, this is a good quitting time. I'm above even. He sends a text like after his roll, instead of having that $1,000 in the rack I left him with, it looks like he has like 3,500. So he went on and he plays the same way I do, just does like a 3-point molly. And I'm sure he started, if he got up to that much, I'm sure he started kind of going up to max odds at some point. But like, he managed on a 3-point Molly system to win like $2,500 on his roll there. And then by the time he cashed out, he had sent me a picture of him with like 4 yellows and a purple chip there. So he managed to get another 100 on top of that before finally getting to bed. And so on some sense, it's kind of a bummer to have like just barely missed it. But on the other hand, it's like, man, I was just happy to get back to even and get to bed. So that was my Saturday. It was, at this point, I've kind of done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's a packed trip.
But the good news is
we're going on hour 3 of the trip report, so definitely a lot of stuff.
The good news is that Sunday I had nothing planned, and so when I have nothing planned, you know what I'm going to do? Sit and gamble at the Cosmo. So hopefully this goes a bit quicker, as you know, it's a rehashing of a lot of the stuff we talk about a lot. Speaking of rehashing, for breakfast, I did the old
Hash House a Go-Go.
That'd be good.
I did transition.
The old 2-for-1 at Wicked Spoon again. Again, I just really like that. In Vegas, I always want to try a bunch more things, but the issue with that is you end up getting too much food, and the buffet solves that problem. So no need to really explain what a buffet is again. But
who was your twofer?
Twofer was Zach.
Okay.
My buddy Josh, he met up with his brother-in-law, who was also in town for work kind of randomly that night, and so they stayed out a little later, whereas I got to bed at a bit more reasonable hour. So me and Zach did the old 2-for-1. Josh stayed in bed for a bit. We got down to Chandelier Bar around, I don't know, 9:30 or 10. And I just did a quick session there before going in for another quick nap.
Now, did you only go for a walk on Friday? Did you see one big walk?
So no, yeah, you're right. That Saturday I did not get a walk in because it took too long for my buddies to wake up, and I kind of didn't want to leave if they were just about to get up, kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And so, but Sunday I did walk to Fontainebleau and back before this buffet thing. I just kind of cut that for time. So
would you ever do a walk like in Red Rocks, like not walking out there, obviously, but driving out there and do a hike out there?
If I had a friend that wanted to do that, I absolutely would do it. I just, in general, I like walking on the strip.
Okay.
Like, I just like Vegas, right? I don't
we're
like
not friends,
nature.
But maybe I'll do it with you.
Right, yeah. Sorry, I shouldn't have said friend. If I knew someone that wanted to go out there to Red Rock, I might do it with them.
I'm thinking about it maybe in March because I've wanted to get out there for a long time. Anyway, please continue.
Got another quick nap and then settle in for another day of gambling at the Chandelier Bar. And this is always dangerous when, I don't have anything planned. So, I don't really know going into this day where I was at on the trip. I was down a little, I think, from Chandelier at the past day, but I managed again to claw back to even in the early afternoon here. And getting to even around on the last gambling day is great, but it did make me a little more tilted when I found myself losing later in the day on Sunday, where it's like I made it this far and I was even. And then if you just have 2 quick bad sessions back to back, I think it put me in a more foul mood than it would have if I hadn't made it so far back into the black. But I got a ton of drinks in me at the bar, as you might expect. We headed for some craps, and we could see from the TV there the like Bruins Lightning outdoor NHL game that was going on. And Josh and his brother-in-law had put some money on it, and they got the Bruins. Well, they got the Bruins on the money line. And at one point the Bruins were up 5-1, and they had them on the money line at like plus 180. As I'm watching my money disappear at the craps table, Josh is watching his sports betting money disappear as the like Lightning managed to bring it into overtime and ultimately win in a shootout. But it was not a good craps session. I probably lost $1,000 on it pretty quickly.
Oh, that happened.
I head back to the sportsbook bar for more video poker. And this is where I kind of wish we had some dinner booked like I did with that sugarcane reservation, where I set up the reservation just so that it would get me out and get me some food. Whereas instead, I just kind of sat there and waited for the Henry to open at 10 p.m. to eat. We did split. You can order food from the food hall down to the sportsbook there at Cosmo.
Oh, so I didn't know that.
We did get some banh mi sandwiches from Lardo, I think, and those were really good. And that was needed because actually waiting until the Henry opened at 10 would have been a pretty big mistake. But nevertheless, I did still do the thing where I had too many drinks and then had too big of a dinner and then tried to go to bed, and it was kind of a mess. But Oh, and I guess the other thing I'll say is I lost another like $1,200 at the sports bar session. So like I talked about getting kind of tilted later. I think there was like a 5 to 10 minute period at this sports book bar where I was in like a really bad mood, where I just like was losing and I was hungry and I was tired and every hand just felt like a loser. Like I lost $300 just straight down with like no more than like a 50-cent hit here or there, it felt like. And I mean, I snapped out of it pretty quick, but there was a bit there where I was just like, what am I doing? This is just miserable.
It's the worst session.
I was probably not super fun to be around for a very brief bit there. But then we came up with a weird game. We talked about weird games we play with ourselves. We decided that it was
You started playing with yourself? All right. That gets me out of those types of moods too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We started playing this weird game in which we decided that there was a particular card you needed. Like, let's say you had 4 to a royal or 4 to a straight flush, or much more commonly, you have like a 3 of a kind and you're drawing to the 4 of a kind. And you're like, okay, I need the King of Hearts. We decided that what was going to bring in that King of Hearts is waiting until it appears on one of your 2 friends' screens. Okay. And so you'd issue a warning. Okay, guys, I'm not playing. I'm not hitting the button. I'm waiting for King of Hearts. And we said only the first line you're playing counts, so that it was, fair between the people that were playing multi-line.
It's got to be fair.
Single line. Yeah. You have to do these games in an egalitarian way, or they don't work. And so we'd stop playing and say, all right, guys, King of Hearts, looking for the King of Hearts. And then you had to quick react. As soon as someone said they had it, you'd react and hit the button as soon as possible to make sure that you would get the quad. I think, all in all, this didn't work once. It might have worked once, but in my head, it maybe didn't even work once. It was clearly not a empirically justified system. Okay. But we had a blast where you'd be like waiting for your card to show up so you can hit the button, but then someone else gets in a spot where they're waiting for a 3 of a kind. And now you're both just waiting for this one last guy. And you're like, oh, I hope he doesn't get 3 of a kind, or we're all going to be deadlocked here waiting for our whatever dumb quad game we came up with was.
It sounds like you just need to refine it a bit and then it'll start working.
Right. It's not hopeless. It worked in that we did it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just getting the kinks out.
But I do think that's kind of the fun part about playing with your friends is that you come up with different dumb stuff each time, right? Like this wasn't a DEF CON trip. This was is my quad going to appear on your screen trip or whatever. We got that late night Henry when it did open around 10. I got a burger with just like all sorts of fucked up stuff on it and went to bed. And like I said, slept terribly. Next morning, I woke up around like 6:45 after having probably fallen asleep around like midnight. And just felt like crap. And so what did I do? I took a walk. I didn't make it all that far. I made it from Cosmo, I think, about up to Encore before I turned around and came back. But it was enough to kind of get the juices flowing, get me kind of out of the headspace I was in, and get me tired again so that I could go back to sleep. And I slept for another couple hours. So that was good. Only thing I'll say that as another question for you guys is my flight ended up getting delayed about 3 hours. It was maybe 2 hours and 30 minutes worth of delays with another like 30 of maintenance delays once we were on the plane. And so my 2 p.m. flight ended up taking off closer to like 5. And I was thinking about how this is so much less pleasant than if your flight was delayed on the way into Vegas. And I was wondering if that's controversial. Like you'd rather have an unexpected 3-hour delay on your way in or on your way home?
I think it depends on a couple of things, but overall, I would definitely rather have it on the way out. I would just, if my flight gets delayed getting into Vegas, I am so antsy and I'm like, and then when I get there, I feel like I have to make up for lost time. So I'm like, well, guess I got to go play quarter craps right now and just start like max odds because I missed 3 hours of gambling time.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like my last day, like the day I'm flying out of Vegas, is like a wasted day anyway. Like I never really have much planned. I usually take a morning flight anyway. So like it doesn't even matter to me. But like delayed into Vegas just feels like I'm being robbed. It's worse than losing at the tables.
Yeah, absolutely, Jack. I disagree with you a lot right now.
Well, that's interesting.
Good trip report, though.
I think for me, very often leaving Vegas, I'm done with Vegas and Vegas is done with me. I don't have it in me generally to keep gambling, for instance, on the last day that I'm in town.
For me, I feel like the day before the last day, I'm like, I'm done. Like, I could go home right now, right? Like, if I'm out there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, on Saturday, I'm like, okay, I could leave. And then when I get to the day that I'm supposed to leave, I'm like, God damn it, I can't believe I'm leaving today. So I think we're a little different in that realm.
Did you have lounge access?
I did. My buddies didn't. So I just
Okay.
And again, I don't mind the airport. We found a quiet, end of the terminal where not really any flights were coming in, just kind of hung out.
You didn't go and play any video poker or any slots or any bubble craps?
I should have played some bubble craps. That's where the good odds are. But no, I managed to do it without any extra gambling and just drank my Jamba Juice, ate my Dave's hot chicken, and downloaded some videos to watch on the plane. Yeah, no, it was a good trip. Net, like I said, I ended up I think around minus 2,300.
Okay.
There's always a bit of a fudge factor there where I count the cash tips that I'm giving on some of these sessions as like gambling losses in some cases.
Yeah.
But it was cool. I think at the worst case scenario, I was down closer to 3,000 total on the trip. And so I technically avoided the low water mark, but it was a bummer to lose so much so quickly in kind of the last hours of gambling on that last day.
Yeah.
Kind of soured me a little bit, but if I didn't want that to happen, I shouldn't have been gambling. So
It was a standard good Jack trip though. I mean, good food, had some fun gambling, got one walk in, good times. And that's Talking Vegas.
I think maybe the highlight actually was leaving that dim sum place, and it had warmed up considerably throughout the morning while we were eating. And so kind of just like stepping out onto the street in like the Vegas sun with a belly full of food and heading to the tiki bar was kind of the best mood I was in at any point. I thought that was just kind of a blast. So if anyone's out there in the cold north, like where I am right now, just picture a sunny Chinatown in the suburban southwest of the U.S.
Right. With food you didn't order, but you're just accepting. Well, anything else, Jack, before we head out?
No, I think I managed to keep it to around an hour as far as I can tell. So
we'll count
about
right
as the first ever hour trip report on Handy at the Shandy.
Yeah, what a record. Yeah, well, that's going to be it for hour 1 of episode 16 for Table James Games and Boring Jack. I'm Adam the Fraud. Thanks for listening.
See you later.
Bye now.